Welcome to BNG Recap. Today, we will come to part 1 of the extremely exciting Worlds Apocalypse online series. It is unknown when a cultivation world that was called a game suddenly appeared that players entered this cultivation world to battle against monsters and raise their abilities at the same time. They could take the items and the cultivation they earned into the real world. Until one day, disaster came upon them as countless monsters arrived in the real world from the cultivation world. Ever since the monsters invaded the real world, the war between humans and them became endless. Cities fell in succession. The few remaining survivors were still bitterly defending the very last city. On top of a skyscraper, there's a group of human monks getting besieged by some mischievous monsters. A soldier is screaming loudly. The city is about to collapse. If this continues, the human race is doomed. In the midst of the crisis, a gigantic, bloody hand appears in the sky, pointing towards them. It's the final demon lord. The group of monks is struggling hilariously to fend off the relentless onslaught of monsters. Seeing the extremely challenging situation, a young man with long hair and a bold yellow exclamation mark on his forehead is bravely stepping forward. This person is Qing Shan, the great immortal sword of human race. By now, there's only one move left: to die together. That can kill this demon god. As he says, he raises his hand and activates his sword energy, transforms it into countless gold sword shadows around him. A man from his team shouts, "Don't do it, Mr. Gu. If you use die together, you'll also die. You're the last hope of the human race." A loud bang. Just seeing Qing Shan's figure rushing forward, followed by his shining sword shadows, as he flying, he's killing countless demon on his pathway. We don't have any options. Only this sword can cut apart this karma. After saying that, Qing Shan draws his sword, rushing toward the demon god. The rest of the group look at the scene before their eyes. "Mr. Gu, let us use all of our remaining spirit power to support you. Everything is up to you now." Qing Shan, without any face expression changed, let all of the wars and suffering, from this point on, completely end. As soon as the words ended, everyone transforms into shadows and Qing Shan rushes forward with all their strength, like a piercing arrow, rushing towards the demon god, who is also rushing with incredible power. The explosion sound of the impact tearing through the space, emitting a dazzling light that tears through the gloomy sky. After that battle, the last immortal of the human race fell. The relentless war between human and demons ended in the defeat of the human race. The present world started to enter into a state of destruction, and player Qing Shan killed the final demon lord, earning himself a chance of resurrection. Scene change, thunder, and lightning echoes in the pouring rain. There are two soldiers working hard on something. The guy holding the lamp wonders, "Leader, why are we coming to this pit of dead people so late at night? What if we meet monster?" The leader, using his blade to poke the corpses, and says, "Come over and check if there are any fish that slipped through the net. Dead people have lots of good things in them. Let me show you." The man holding the lamb asks, "You need to stab the corpses another time." The guy holding the blade discovers a glowing golden sword among the corpses. He happily shouts, "This short sword doesn't look common. Let's have another stab before taking it." Suddenly, the corpse opens his eyes. As quick as lightning, he uses the golden sword in his hand to knock the sword into the air. He tightly grasps the hilt of the sword and uses all his strength to point it towards his head, only to see the leader crying out and falling backwards. At this moment, the man holding the lamb screams, "Monster, you killed leader." He still holds the sword in his hand and doesn't let go, turns around and asks, "Where is this place, and who are you? I clearly perished together with the demon lord just then." Suddenly, the guy lying on the ground trembles. His nails keep growing longer and longer. A gray hang with sharp claws suddenly rushes toward. The guy on the ground suddenly comes back to life and pushes down the man holding the sword. He presses him down and chokes his neck. The dead guy turns into a monster with a hideous mouth. "It's not so easy to kill me," as he says. He grabs a piece of bone and hits the demon hard on his side. It jumps back a few steps and screaming in pain. The man picks up his sword and says, "It's really dangerous. You really angered me now. After speaking, he grabs the sword and rushes toward the demon. He jumps high and put all his strength into the sword. Once again, the sword stabs right into the demon's head, forced him to fall on the ground. Only then, he calms down and thinks about this person who just died and came back to life. Does it mean this place is not the present world, but the cultivation world inside the game? Where's the system? System. Replying back on him is just the rain. Strange, why is there no response from the system? Next to him, there is the stammering sound of the guy holding the lamb just now. What's going on? Are you a human or a ghost? He calmly replies, if you killed thousands of monsters, then you wouldn't ask this kind of dumb question. He's still very scarce. Who are you? Let me see the badge on your waist. He bent down to reach the badge hanging on his waist. It shows 6 words, Xiaoqi Camp Yu Qing Shan on it. This badge is from the game cultivation world, and it's a previous design. He wondered, raising an eyebrow for the others to see. A misunderstanding. So you're a brother from the Xiaoqi camp. Follow me, back to the camp quickly. It's way too dangerous here. He's just turned and left. Qing Shan looked at the armor of the guy lying dead on the ground. It's from a decade ago. He's bending down, securing his hair with a clip, and he asks with a tidy look, bro, what year is this? This is the 681st year of Yongping. What? Yongping. 681st year. This is the game cultivation world from 10 years ago. The system's notification sounded. Present time is confirmed to be the last year of Yongping. Time flow is stabilized, confirmed to be detached from space-time continuum. Result: successful escape from the apocalypse. Identity reset successfully. Current identity is Vanguard Army Soldier, Yu Qing Shan of Xiaoqi Camp of the Human Race. Qing Shan was stunned. I am now Vanguard Army Soldier Yu Qing Shan. Ting. Activation of the War God system successful. Will now restart path of adventure. I was reborn. He was thinking when suddenly the system had some problem. War God system. As he was struggling and didn't know what to do, Qing Shan suddenly noticed something was wrong and turned to look. A purple monster was rushing very fast towards the side. The companion screamed in horror, Monster, we're all doomed. Qing Shan picked up the sword from the ground and said, don't worry, it's only a normal monster. After saying that, he grabbed his sword and rushed to fight with the monster. The monster just swung one blow, and his sword broke in half in his hand. He was surprised and realized, what? My sword skills can't be used. With one more strike from the monster, he was sent flying backwards. Without giving Qing Shan any time to rest, it lunged at him. There's definitely no chance of winning with just straightforward attacks. I can only depend on my experience. I remember their vital point is their throat. He screamed and gripped the sword with one hand and held it steady with the other, plunging it deep into the beast's neck. He deftly slid under its belly, using its own momentum against it, then slashed a long cut across its belly. Even with a broken sword in his hand, he still easily sliced the beast in two. This place looks like a fallen human territory. Before he could utter a word, suddenly, in front of him, countless figures of monsters appeared. This is bad. The smell of blood from the corpses has attracted the monsters here. The number of monsters that came this time are even more. It was difficult to just kill one monster. Now there's a whole herd. There's no way I can deal with them. He shouted loudly to the guy who was with him, are there any hiding places nearby? He hastily replied, there are barracks with a concealment magic formation not far up ahead. Under the pursuit of the monsters, the two ran with all their strength and finally arrived. We're here at the barracks. Brother Qing Shan, quickly come in. The two people quickly slipped into the magic barrier and disappeared, successfully dodged of the monsters. The inside of the camp was strictly fortified. The one who went with Qing Shan breathed heavily and turned to say, the count has a concealment magic formation. Those monsters can't discover it. Qing Shan replied, when we came inside the camp, I felt a tremor in the magic formation. I'm afraid it can't hold on for long. The person accompanying him panicked. Then what do we do? Qing Shan replied, if there are spirit stones, then it can hold out for a longer period of time. That guy quickly turned around and left. I went to look in the barracks to see if there were still any spirit stones. I clearly perished together with the final demon lord just a moment ago. No, not a moment ago. It should be my previous life. In my previous life, people originally thought the cultivation world was a virtual game. Only until the monsters invaded the present world did we know the cultivation world was real and truly existed. But it was too late by then. The outcome of the monster destroying the human race was already finalized. Qing Shan looked into the distance for a while, recalling what had happened. And now, the fact that I'm reborn into the cultivation world 10 years into the past means that I still have a chance to stop the annihilation of the human race. But for now, I need to find a way to survive. When I was killing the monster, my sword skills couldn't be used. It can't continue to be like this in the long run. Right, the war god system just now. Suddenly, Qing Shan remembered something, then turned around to check the system's information panel. It's completely different from the system of the game in the previous life. Forget it. That's not important. What's important now is to find a way to survive, he thinked. The system showed that he was still in the first stage of Qi condensation. That's also why he felt so weak. He can just only feels and uses spirit power at the lowest degree. The system sent back a notification. Successful activation of the War God operation screen. Do you wish to activate the first function? Qing Shan, without any further thought, he immediately said, activate. Ding. Activation of the War God skill function. War God skill can directly comprehend the moves of the previous holders of the weapon through physically touching the weapon. Comprehension of the moves requires spending a certain amount of soul power. Qing Shan surprised. I can unlock skills through picking up weapons. Too bad there's no sword. The system popped up. Military standard scimitar with 2 skills. First is horizontally sweeping 1,000 soldiers. Cost 1 point of soul power. Second is open the door to see the mountain. Cost 1 point of soul power. He picked up scimitar and thought, it was difficult to fight just one monster before. It's going to be suicide to fight close combat with a group of them. I should rely on ranged attacks to kill the monster and raise my cultivation level first. The system displayed the standard skills for military bow as follows. Stabilize costs 2 points of soul power. Consecutive shooting costs 2 points of soul power. Precise costs 4 points of soul power. 2 swallows fly together costs 6 points of soul power. Qing Shan looked at the system board and said, the move 2 swallows seems to be very powerful, but the amount of soul power needed to be spent exceeds my max limit. I'll choose to comprehend stabilized and consecutive. As he finished speaking, the display panel turned into energy strips that entered his body. The bow skills I learned were actually instantly comprehended. Qing Shan said as he pulled out the arrow from the tube. Let's see how actual combat is like. He raised his bow and shot towards the dummy. 3 arrows hit the dummy's head immediately. The accuracy is okay, but it lacks in power. If I had spirit power, would it be more powerful? Count Sun raised his bow and used all its strength to shoot arrows like a storm. The arrows flew past and destroyed the dummies in front of them. Stabilize and consecutive shooting. The power of these 2 moves don't look bad, he said with satisfaction. Looks like it should be possible to rely on the abilities of the War God system to kill those low-tier monsters. I'll slowly figure out what this is all about afterward. Boom! A loud noise that shook the ground. What's this? An earthquake? No, the sound is coming from the outside of the barracks. Qing Shan grabbed his bow and rushed towards the barracks gate. He was startled to realize this is the Faceless Giant. The first time this type of monster appeared was during the year players first entered the cultivation world. Why would it appear now? Did something different from the previous timeline occur? The soldier who had just returned from fetching the spirit stone cried out in horror when he saw it in front of him. What is this monster? It's a monster of the nascent soul stage, the Faceless Giant. Qing Shan replied to him. It's coming over. The faceless monster with its enormous physique approached the barracks with its giant body. The human barracks looked so small compared to it. The soldier standing next to Qing Shan screamed loudly, "We're done for. We're gonna die, for sure this time." Tan Sun looked at the faceless monster walking towards him and spoke to the soldier, "Don't panic. We won't die." The two watched the faceless's feet step through the barracks, creating a shocking commotion. Qing Shan then relaxed his defense and spoke, "As expected, it wasn't coming after us." The soldier looked up at the magic formation and said in panic, "The magic formation is damaged." "Brother Qing Shan, what's the matter with this?" Qing Shan looked in the direction of the barrier and replied, "Looks like the Trinma just now depleted the concealment formation's spirit power." He observed the surrounding situation and saw that their hideout had been exposed, and more monsters were coming. Qing Shan's expression became serious. He used his hand to pull out the arrows from behind and said to the soldier, "If this goes on, more and more monsters will come. I'll first get rid of these guys. Quickly go and charge up the formation with the spirit stones." I got it," the soldier holding the spirit stones shouted. Qing Shan activated the stabilize skill to make the arrow fly at incredible speed. The arrow hit straight into the head of an oncoming demon beast, causing it to fall backwards. Qing Shan radiated murderous aura around him, looked at the monsters and said, "Ranged attacks are pretty suitable to deal with these monsters." The monsters kept screaming and rushed towards him. He continued to activate the concept of shooting skill and aimed at the monsters, causing the three wolves to just scream and lie down. The system sound now rang again. Experience bar is filled. Current experience points 5/5. Host's strength is raised to second stage of key condensation. The skill stabilize had a successful breakthrough. Skill has leveled up to secure. Tan Sun saw that and was very happy. Growth type skills are suitable for my current situation. I can slowly level up this way. But the most worrisome thing right now is why a monster like the faceless giant would appear. From behind came the soldier's voice calling, "I finished the spirit stones. The concealment formation should last for a while now." Qing Shan said with a serious face, "I'm afraid it's not so simple." The soldier asked curiously, "Didn't the faceless giant leave? What are you worried about?" Qing Shan explained, "The faceless giant won't appear alone. There's a high chance that there will be high-tier soldiers following it. The concealment formation can't block high-tier monsters. The faceless giant just now should have discovered us, but was indifferent to attack us. I keep feeling something big is about to happen." Early the next morning, as the sun was just rising, Qing Shan is standing guard at the camp gate when he notices a distant haze of dust and smoke. They came. He's secretly stealthily observing. It's the steel blood demon and the evil ghost fire snake. The gang of monsters formed a long line as they moved, leaving behind hot, sizzling skid marks on the path they had traversed. Qing Shan saw that. It looks like they're in a hurry to get somewhere. They look like they're traveling in the same direction as the faceless giant. Jumping off the gate, sprinted down, determined to chase after the monster squad. The soldier next to him suddenly exclaimed and pointed up, "Look quick, the sky." A light bulb was zooming hastily towards them. That thing plummeted to the ground, kicking up a dust storm and leaving the soldier bewildered. What is this thing? Once upon a time, down below the ground, a thing let out some moans and groans. So tired, almost caught up. Two folks from Qing Shan gazed at the guy next to them intensely and exclaimed, "It looks like a bird." Suddenly, the bird freaked out and squawked in sheer horror, "Humans, humans." It zoomed up faster than lightning, doubling its wingspan in a flash, soaring through the sky with a non-stop chatterbox mouth. "They're humans. Quickly run." Qing Shan, armed with a bow and arrow, chased after the bird, yelling, "We can't let this kind of intelligent monster run away," he said. Then he leaped up, no fancy moves, just a solid archery skill aimed towards the bird. The arrow swiftly swirled through the air, executing a spectacular curved path before giving the bird's chest a piercing surprise. When just touched down, the system blared. Soul power has increased by 2. Current soul power is now 3 out of 5. Qing Shan noticed something glowing on the chest of the little bird. Suddenly, the object emitted a notification. Target is continuing to move towards the south. Command. Faceless giant, blood-drinking army attack with full force. Qing Shan realized, this is the demonic army's secret dispatch command. That strange bird is a messenger bird. Does the demonic army want to start a war? That's not right. I remember every battle of the cultivation world. There weren't any battles between the human race and the monsters in the early days. It's not a battle, but they've mobilized this kind of army. It seems like they're going for a decapitation strike to get rid of the leader. Let me think about which people in history were killed through a sneak attack by monsters. Qing Shan turned to ask the soldier, "What day is today?" And he hastily replied, "June 7th? What is it?" Deep Thoughts by Qing Shan. June 7th, I remember. The Sacred Sect Supreme Elder. Grand Master of Formations Gong Sanji. Celestial Sect. Holy Celestial Maiden name Yuchan. The deaths of these two top-tier cultivators should have happened in the following few days. Their strengths were top-tier. If they didn't die, the human race may not have been obliterated by the apocalypse. But with my current cultivation, it's probably going to be difficult to even get near those monsters. It's not only the apocalypse, I also want to change many other things. Suddenly, the system blurted out, "Player Gu Qing Shan stayed up for 24 hours in this world, now returning to the present world." Qing Shan was extremely surprised. The war god system can return me to the present world. Ding dong. All equipment has been stored inside the system's inventory. They can be taken out when needed. Initiating return. Qing Shan was still not finished being surprised as he watched his body slowly disappearing, being encoded into thin air. I'm going back. Moving to a new scene. This place is the Free Federation district of Changming. The spirit of Qing Shan was slowly regaining strength. He found himself amidst a bustling banquet. He suddenly realized that he was at a high school dance. He had traveled back in time before the apocalypse. Behind came the call, "Gu Qing Shan." This voice is. He turned around to see who was behind. It's Su Xuya. She is his classmate and the granddaughter of the tribal leader, one of the 9 prestigious families in the Su Xuya Federation, suddenly spoke up, asking, "Your good bro Zhang Yi said you have something to tell me, is that right?" A young man suddenly chimed in, "Haha, that's right. Qing Shan has a very important thing to tell you." And guess who it was? None other than the faithful buddy of Gu Qing Shan, Zhang Yi. The chatter among the partygoers grew louder as they began to exchange thoughts and opinions. Is it that Gu Qing Shan wants to confess to Su Xuya? No way, no way. This is gonna be a good show. Qing Shan looked at Zhang Yi silently ahead. In my previous life, Zhang Yi stabbed me with a ring containing aphrodisiac poison when I was confessing, causing me to do perverted things to Xuya. Because I offended the Su family, there was no place for me to gain a foothold in the Free Federation. Left with no choice, I went to the Fuxi Empire. Only when the cultivation world and the present world connected did I have a chance to turn it around. This life, I won't repeat the same mistakes. Zhang Yi saw that and urged him, "Qing Shan, don't be afraid, say what you want to say." Qing Shan calmly said, "Xue, I want to tell you." The surrounding people saw this and gathered. "Come look, the show's starting." Qing Shan continued to say, "I only want to say that when you have time, come over to my house to eat a meal, so you can taste my cooking skills." This word made the group and Zheng Yi a bit surprised. One person in the group even exclaimed, "Tech? Boring." Su Xuya asked a little disappointed, "Eat a meal? It's only to eat a meal. There's nothing else." "Yes, it's only to eat a meal," Qing Shan replied. Seeing that things were not going well, Zheng Yi stepped forward and said, "Qing Shan, didn't you say you wanted to confess to Su Xuya?" Qing Shan coldly replied, "Don't be joking. I never said anything like that." Zheng Yi's face right now is so despicable. He thinks things aren't going according to plan, so he has to take action, dropping the chain at the critical moment. "Let me, your good bro, help you out." Having said that, he extended his hand towards Qing Shan. and on his hand was wearing a special ring with a red needle. Qing Shan gently grabbed Zheng Yi's arm, causing him to exclaim, Qing Shan, what is it? I should ask you that question, Qing Shan replied while holding his wrist tightly. He used force to pull his arm back up. Zheng Yi could not resist and could only be struck down the floor by Qing Shan. He pulled the red ring from his hand and raised it to ask, what do you want to use this for? Zheng Yi hesitantly replied, Don't misunderstand. That's only a normal ring. Qing Shan looked at the ring in his hand and thought, in my previous life, I didn't know who wanted to harm me. In this life, I might be able to use the Su family guards to help me. He spoke angrily, if you're not confessing, then don't blame me for being harsh. Su Yi. As soon as the words finished speaking, next to Su Xuya appeared an old man, with a white beard, and a short-haired woman. Both of them exuded the aura of experts, Su Yi and Old Lai. To Su Xuya's 2 bodyguards, I remember telling you that you can only call me when Su Xuya is in danger, Su Yi said. Qing Shan held the ring in his hand and gave it to Su Yi and replied, look at this first, please. She received the ring and looked at it when she suddenly realized it. Old Li was next to him and immediately asked her, what is it? Su Yi replied, there's a very violent aphrodisiac on this ring. Su Xuya's face turned red and she covered her mouth with her hand. Aphrodisiac. Qing Shan raised his voice. Although I don't know the reason, there's one thing that can be verified, and that is there is someone who wants Xuya and me to be humiliated. As for who that person is, it will trouble both of you to ask. Zheng Yi saw that the situation was not good, so he jumped on his heels and ran. Omi saw Old Lai hemph, and his figure had disappeared. He suddenly appeared in front of Zheng Yi, causing him to panic. Old Lai used his power to make himself emit powerful purple energy. He raised his palm towards Zheng Yi. Come over, boy. Life is hard. Why not enter a sweet dark dream? Old Li's hand grabbed Zheng Yi's head, and the purple power source continuously penetrated his head. Come, as long as you speak the secret in your heart, I can satisfy all of your desires. Zheng Yi, as if hypnotized, stupidly replied, I'll tell you right away. Qing Shan stood to the side observing and quickly exclaimed, is it a Sky Select ability? That's right, Grandpa Lai is a Sky Select, and has a Sky Select ability that hypnotizes people. Xuya next to him answered, a little explanation. Skies Select. Professionals who have unique abilities in the present world. They cannot rely on cultivation to awaken an ability. Turning back, Old Lai used his skills to interrogate Zheng Yi. Speak. Who wants to harm Xuya? I don't know. The other person used an anonymous online account. I'm only taking the money to do business. Zheng Yi replied immediately. Qing Shan thought that someone is instructing him. Old Lai returned and told everyone. He doesn't know anything. Zheng Yi now begged, Qing Shan, taking into account many years of our friendship, please spare me. He knelt down in front of him and begged, spare me? Qing Shan coldly replied, I believe. It's time for our friendship to meet the ghost. As he said that, he kicked a powerful shot that made Zheng Yi shoot into the distance. Qing Shan turned and said, I'll trouble you to continue to investigate the person behind this. You don't need to tell me that. Su Yi replied. Xuya smiled and looked at Qing Shan. Qing Shan, thank you for protecting my reputation. He gently replied, no need to thank me. I'm also doing this for myself. Xuya looked at Qing Shan like that. Her face turned a little red as she thought, it feels like something's different about Qing Shan from before. Qing Shan displayed the system board to observe. The system is still here, and the hourglass has restarted. It looks like I'll return to the cultivation world again after a while. It's unknown why the monsters in the cultivation world are taking action. Someone wants to instruct Zhang Yi to trouble me, but the trail has been cut. Although the reason is unknown, the war god system seems to be able to let me enter the cultivation world and the present. Since it's like this, then I should take advantage of this system to recently prepare for and stop the apocalypse. Outside a conference hall in the changing Federation, Zheng Yi is being beaten by Old Li and Su Yi escorts him. His mouth keeps crying, "I won't ever dare to do this again. I beg of you." In the end, Zheng Yi was still taken to the spaceship. Qing Shan, bye, we'll meet again. Suya turned back and waved goodbye to him. Qing Shan raised his hand to greet Suya, thinking Zhang Yi's repercussions are probably going to be worse than mine in my previous life. The image of the spaceship gradually became smaller and flew away into the distance. Hey, I can finally go home and rest. I left that little house for so many years. I kind of miss it. A strange spaceship suddenly appeared above Qing Shan's head. It landed in front of him, surprising him a bit. This is the 9th Prefecture Ni family's flying shuttle. From inside the spacecraft, there was a man dressed quite formal. He came out and spoke to Qing Shan. "Mr. Gu, my family's young master invites you to enter to speak with him." Qing Shan heard that and immediately replied, "Ni family's young master, and I don't have relations. Why did he look for me?" He said with a smile, "Welcome." The person waiting for him was a blonde young master. Standing next to that young master was an extremely hot girl. Qing Shan gently spoke, "I don't know what President Ni is asking me for." The blonde young master in front of him was Chaiming's elite private high school student council president, Ni Yun. He looked at the file in his hand and said, "Top student Qing Shan, beginning with full points in mecha-tectonics, photon technology, battleship navigation, and mecha-dynamics. At the same time, you are a distinguished member of the Su family steel armor tech company. However, every powerful family in the Federation wants to marry into the Su family's Su Xuya. A person of your background shouldn't be tempted by her." Qing Shan coldly replied, "And if you were tempted?" The other guy showed a dangerous expression. "Then your end result would be very terrible. It might even threaten your life." Qing Shan heard that and thought, my relationship with Su Xuya will affect these people's interests. So, they were the ones who used poison. Ni Yun smiled slightly and said, "So, what are you going to do?" Qing Shan responded coldly, "If you like Su Xuya, you can go pursue her. As for what I'm going to do, that's my own business. I won't concern you with it." After saying that, Qing Shan turned around and left, making Ni Yun angrily grit his teeth. He angrily turned around and shouted at the person next to him, "How are plans going?" "Rest assured, everything is arranged." The subordinate replied. He gave a sinister smile, pulled his finger across his neck and said, "Within an hour, Qing Shan will die in an accident." Turned back to the city with Qing Shan. He was walking on the street in the slums. "There's only 1 year left before the cultivation world arrives. I need to rely on the system to raise my power as quickly as possible. Aside from facing the apocalypse, I also have to be careful of those malicious wealthy children." In front of Qing Shan, a group of people appeared. Some of them seemed drunk and staggered. "Bro, slow down," a guy who was helping his friend exclaimed. Then a guy wearing a green hat in that group passed by and nudged Qing Shan hard. Suddenly, a strange smile appeared on his lips. Suddenly that person pulled out a sharp knife from his body. He stabbed hard towards Qing Shan and shouted, "You little brat, you want to leave after bumping into me?" Qing Shan gently dodged the knife in his hand. What a fierce blade. This person is definitely not a normal thug. Tan Sun, as quick as lightning, ducked to avoid his opponent's neck slash. He used force and hit the knife-wielding man in the back of the head. My spirit power can be used. Looks like my cultivation from the cultivation world can be brought back. The remaining group saw that the situation was not good. One of them pulled out a pistol and shouted loudly, "This brat isn't a normal kid. Let's bring him down, brothers." Qing Shan still calmly observed, "There are even guns. They're really not ordinary people, but since it's like this, then don't blame me for being ruthless." As he spoke, a ball appeared in his hand. The crowd frantically opened fire towards Qing Shan. He immediately activated his machine gun and fired a series of arrows. The arrows shot through the bodies of the people in front of them, making them only have time to scream in a very short moment. The last man was shot through the shoulder by an arrow. Qing Shan summoned an arrow. He grabbed the arrow and walked towards the survivor. He panicked and repeatedly apologized and begged for his life. Qing Shan pointed the sharp arrow at his pupil. Speak, who sent you here? That guy immediately replied, the Ni family's fierce tiger is the one who hired us. Qing Shan put on a serious face. As expected, it's Ni Yun. The other guy said, scared, fierce tiger is a martial master. You're definitely not his match. You should run. Qing Shan was a bit thoughtful. Martial master. If I can use my sword skills from my previous life to battle, then any opponent wouldn't be a problem. Suddenly something clicked inside his head. My head hurts. Why can't I remember? System, are you the one that sealed my memories? The system rang. The host has yet to break away from the void's surveillance. It's difficult to predict what will occur once discovered. When can I restore my memories? Qing Shan asked. The host needs to transmigrate to the cultivation world 1 or 2 more times. Qing Shan felt a bit disappointed seeing that I can only take one step at a time. Though it failed this time, Ni Yun definitely won't give up. He'll send more people to come after me. Since I can't use my sword skills, then I'll use the war god skills that come from the system to go against them. Inside the city, the guy dressed in formal clothes who welcomed Qing Shan in the morning was smiling extremely cheerfully. Gu Qing Shan. My arrangements for tonight were definitely memorable for you, right? Returned to Qing Shan. The person who told you guys to kill me is called Fierce Tiger, right? I want to talk to him. The other guy was so scared that he was sweating. He took out his phone and gave it to Qing Shan, stammering, all right. The voice from the phone said, how did it go? It failed. I'm still alive. The person on the other end of the line angrily roared, Gu Qing Shan. I didn't think you would take the initiative to contact me. Qing Shan calmly replied, of course, even if you didn't contact me, I would still find and kill you. I'll give you a chance. You should know where I live. I'll wait for you there. After speaking, Qing Shan used his hand to break the phone. He turned around and said to the guy sitting on the ground, go away. You're not killing me. You've done all the things I've asked for. You've won back your life. Qing Shan said as he turned to leave. Scene changes to Changning Casino. There is a loud voice of a man, young Master Ni. This chick is our headliner. I can't bear to wager her. Young Master Ni, please give some face, change a girl. Ni Yun sat opposite, holding a glass of wine, and said, you decide to offend me because of a headliner. This isn't what I mean. The other guy quickly replied, behind Ni Yun, someone was coming. This person was none other than the personal aide of the Ni family, Martial Master Fierce Tiger. He reported to Ni Yun, young master, the task failed. Gu Qing Shan just sent me a provoking message. Ni Yun frowned and said, what? He held the chips in his hand, threw them at Fierce Tiger, and shouted, who said there wouldn't be a problem? Fierce Tiger just looked down and replied, apologies, young master, I'll personally get rid of him. Ni Yun slammed the table and stood up, thinking to himself, this Gu Qing Shan really makes people angry. The man was still standing in front of the girl and said softly, young Master Ni. Young Master Ni. He turned around, smirked, and said, how about we bet on something more interesting? Please say young Master Ni. The man replied. Ni still had a confident face. My subordinate needs to go kill a poor student named Gu Qing Shan. I'll bet that Gu Qing Shan will definitely die. The man sitting on the table replied, your subordinate is a martial master. Killing a poor student is as easy as lifting a finger. This gamble doesn't seem to be very fair. The girl standing behind suddenly whispered to the man, bet with him. What if we lose? The man whispered. The girl smiled and said, if we lose, then we kill off all the members of the Ni family, give up on the mission and return home. She revealed her gorgeous facial features. I have been sick of this boring place since long ago. A surveillance drone flying over the city sky. Fierce Tiger standing looking up at a building in the slums. He walked step by step to the room 2207. Boom, Fierce Tiger kicked the door open. Gu Qing Shan, I'm here, how much longer are you going to hide? In the darkness, a light suddenly flashed, catching his attention. A ray of blue light is flying towards him, not good. Fierce Tiger used both hands to block the incoming object. But its force was quite strong, so he was pushed back a few steps. His whole body collided with the wall, causing the wall to crack. "A bow," he said with difficulty, looking up. In the darkness, Qing Shan held the bow in his hand, radiating an aura around him. He said, "As expected of a martial master, you blocked this one arrow." Then, as he spoke, Tan San used all his strength to raise the arrow. "Then what about the second arrow? The third arrow?" The fierce tiger tried to avoid the stormy arrows flying towards him. He hid in a corner and gasped. How could a poor kid like him have such a powerful archery skill? Ni Yun is observing the match situation through a surveillance camera. The man sitting next to him frowned and said, "He can actually use a bow to suppress a martial master. Just who is this poor kid?" Ni Yun impatiently shouted into the walkie-talkie, "Fierce tiger, what are you doing? Quickly kill Jai Qing Shan for me." "Understood," Fierce Tiger replied. As soon as he finished speaking, Qing Shan shot an arrow straight toward him. Fierce Tiger's eyes turned yellow, and each of his veins began to emerge. His body became larger, his muscles bulged, and his face deformed. Then he immediately rushed towards Qing Shan. He calmly reached back and drew an arrow. "So this is your true power. It's a bit interesting." Qing Shan raised his bow and shot an arrow toward the oncoming fierce tiger. He used both hands to catch his arrow easily. "Have your arrows all been used up? It's my turn now." Then fierce tiger grabbed Qing Shan's arrow and threw it back at him. Qing Shan jumped back and easily dodged those two arrows. A good opportunity. Fierce tiger seized the moment Qing Shan landed and pounced on him. Qing Shan used both hands in front to block the fierce tiger's punch. The great force sent Qing Shan flying into the wall with a loud explosion. He immediately stood up, took off the brooch that was holding his hair, and said, "The strength is a bit unexpected." Fierce Tiger gathered all his strength. His body looks so big, his muscles are bulging, and his voice is full of excitement. "Du Qing Shan, you're dead for sure." Fierce Tiger grabbed the chair and rushed towards him, shouting, "You without your bow can only hide." Qing Shan transferred power to the brooch held in his hand. He jumped up to dodge the fierce tiger's attack. "Who said that?" The words just ended. Tan San suddenly jumped down and used the brooch to pull a long stick on fierce tiger's body, making him scream in pain. He continued to put his strength into the bow and stabbed it firmly into the fierce tiger's leg, then turned around and kicked him hard in the face. The kick sent fierce tiger's entire body flying back and hitting the wall, causing bricks and stones to scatter. He thought to himself, "I'm now at the end stage of Qi condensation. My power is about the same as this world's martial master. But the spiritual power of the cultivation world is stronger than the power of this world, so that's why I can suppress him." Qing Shan stepped forward in front of the fierce tiger, who at this moment emitted a strong murderous aura, and said, "I don't have time to tangle with you anymore. This death match should end." Fierce Tiger carried a large piece of wall and threw it out, shouting, "I won't give you the chance to make your move." This time Qing Shan still gently jumped up to avoid his attack. He activated Secure Skill and pulled 3 arrows at the same time. Continue using the skill of consecutive shooting before landing and shooting out. 3 arrows rushed out, then gathered at one point and turned into a large snake that opened its mouth to bite at fierce tiger. He could only utter 2 words, "What?" 3 arrows flew to the body, creating 3 holes in the body. Fierce tiger was finally defeated. The flycam outside filmed everything. Qing Shan is now holding a bow and standing on the battlefield. He discovered, is a surveillance flycam. He raised his bow. The arrow flew straight to the flycam. The screen turned off, and Ni Yun stepped back in panic. The man sitting next to him said, "Young Master Ni, your mood is not good. Let's call off this gamble." The surname Ni replied angrily, "Call off? You think that I, Ni Yun, cannot afford to lose? You're lucky this time around, but you won't be so lucky the next time. We're leaving." As he spoke, Ni Yun turned and left. The red-haired girl calmly said, A guy that doesn't know how high the sky is and how thick the ground is. Don't you know that you lost the gamble, but saved your own life? The man next to him quickly bowed his head. Your Highness, we've come to the Free Federation to search for talents. Please restrain yourself during the mission. This crouching person has another identity as the #1 bodyguard of the eldest princess, top hacker Feng Haud. This beautiful woman is the eldest princess of Yudu Imperial City, Queen of the World, Anna Medici. Anna answered, hiding my identity is really a troublesome thing. Let's not talk about this anymore. What do you think of the strength of Qing Shan? The guard replied, his strength is ordinary, barely above a martial master. However, his way of fighting is very unique. Does he have some kind of unknown ability? Search for Qing Shan's data. As soon as Anna finished speaking, the guard immediately looked up his information. It's truly a trash firewall system. The Free Federation is too uncaring of its talents. Information appears before the eyes. Qing Shan, Changing Battle Armor Research Division Mecha Research Member, Your Highness, Qing Shan is actually also a mecha researcher. Anna, holding the flame in her hand, had a slightly amused look on her face. That's a bit interesting. It looks like we need to find a way to get close to Qing Shan. Returning to Qing Shan, he is currently at the Changning Ministry researching and developing combat. Qing Shan entered from the main door. The ball of light flew around, constantly examining him. Iris scan complete. Welcome to the Changning Metal Battle Armor R&D Department. Serial number 41157. Qing Shan went inside, looked around, and then approached the robot. In my previous life, before I transmigrated, the mecha technology was a lot better than it is now. If I can take advantage of that mecha technology to design stronger mecha armor, it would be helpful in countering the apocalypse. All those technologies are in my head. I should confirm them afterward. If I hide here, the people of the Ni family shouldn't bother me for a while, right? He placed his hand on the touch panel to open the door. Identity confirmed. Welcome back. Qing Shan went into the room, took off his coat, and threw it on the bed. He walked to the window and looked outside. Qing Shan felt. There are strands of gas from the underworld in the air. Looks like the signs of the apocalypse have already appeared. There's not much time I have left. I'll return to the cultivation world again tomorrow. I'll use the time left to train my cultivation. Qing Shan sat cross-legged on the bed. His consciousness became hazy. The system sound resounded. Player Qing Shan has stayed in the present world for 24 hours and will now return to the cultivation world. Qing Shan suddenly woke up and was startled. The soldier next to him saw this and immediately said, Brother Gu, are you all right? What are you spacing out for? Qing Shan revealed, it looks like my time in the cultivation world will stop after I return to the present world. He smiled and said loudly, I've returned again. This is the time and place before my transmigration. It looks like the time in the cultivation world won't resume when I transmigrate back. The soldier next to him asked with some confusion, Brother Gu, what are you saying? Nothing, you don't need to mind it, Qing Shan replied. I can't tell him the matter regarding Ning Yuchun and Bone Sfinzi yet. After all, it's only speculation of mine. Since there's still time, I should quickly raise my strength. Qing Shan turned to ask the person next to him, are there any low-tier monsters nearby? There are some low-tier monsters in the nearby forest. Why do you ask? The soldier wondered. There's nothing special, just guard the camp. Having finished speaking, Qing Shan hurriedly left. The soldier looked at Qing Shan's retreating back and couldn't help but wonder. He actually went outside all by himself. What a strange person. A moment later, an animal's screams were heard in the forest. Your soul power has increased by 2, reaching the current maximum of 5. Experience bar is full. Current experience of 10/10. The host's strength has risen to the 3rd stage of Qi condensation. Your current experience is now 0 out of 15. Qing Shan stood among countless monster corpses. He observed the analysis system. It didn't take long to reach the 3rd stage of Qi condensation, but from the later stages on, every rise in level will need an immense amount of experience. It's a very troublesome problem. Suddenly the system displays a message. From now on, The player can choose to use soul power to replace experience to raise their own levels. Qing Shan looked at the announcement in front of him in surprise. Soul power has a possessive trait. Once soul power is used, experience can no longer be used to raise levels. System warning: please choose with discretion. Qing Shan thought with a bit of a headache. Raising levels and comprehension are the same. They can all use soul power. If that's so, then soul power has become even more important. But what actually is soul power? The system displayed the second time. Soul power is the fundamental power of sentient beings, meaning the origin of the soul. Qing Shan suddenly woke up. The origin represents a type of limit and power. From trying to exceed the limit will definitely have its specialties. I know how I should make my choice. He firmly said, I choose to use soul power to raise my levels. Ding dong. The player has chosen to use soul power. The player is one more step forward on the road of the war god. Please keep up the effort. Qing Shan continued to say, what level can my current soul power be used to raise to? The system displayed, the fourth stage of Qi condensation requires 1 point of soul power, and the fifth stage of Qi condensation requires 2 points of soul power. Qing Shan quickly ordered, I want to raise to the fifth stage of Qi condensation. He thought to himself, it's true that I don't need to rely on experience to raise my levels. The aura around him began to gather on his forehead, wave after wave, penetrating his consciousness. This is something that has never occurred in the cultivation world. Qing Shan feels the power flowing through his body. This proved that using soul power to advance is the better choice. Suddenly he realized something was coming. He quickly jumped up and hid. A giant python is slowly crawling towards this direction. Qing Shan stood high up and observed. A python? It's considered to be pretty powerful among low-tier monsters. However, the current me can win against it. I should be able to obtain a lot of soul power after killing it, said as he pulled out the arrow in his hand. Qing Shan jumped up and using skill secure, shot the arrow straight down from above onto the python's body. The arrow quickly pierced the snake's head, making it unable to react in time. Soul power +5. Current soul power 7/7. Qing Shan gently landed. My strength has risen a lot. My current self should be able to easily shoot down martial masters like Fierce Tiger. He happily said, the entire body of a python is filled with treasures. I can't waste it. While he was busy checking the corpse, there was no thin purple mist around Qing Shan. The surrounding flowers and grass withered. Qing Shan discovered something was wrong. This is the poison breath of the python. He hurriedly took a defensive stance. There's actually another python. Qing Shan, using the skill of consecutive shooting, shoots 3 arrows at once. The agile snake dodged all the attacks and then rushed towards him. There's actually another python. It slammed into Qing Shan's side like a flash of lightning, leaving him no chance to dodge. His mind was dizzy. Not good. That bite contains poison. He fell to the ground. He staggered to his feet. Teich, it's already affecting me. With this, I should end the fight as soon as possible. Right now, with my weakened body, I am definitely not this python's match. I need to use a powerful skill to counterattack. War God system, I want to comprehend 2 swallows fly together. System notification sounds. Spending 6 points of soul power. The host has comprehended 2 swallows fly together. Current soul power, 1/7. Strength skill of absorbing into Qing Shan's body. The python opened its mouth and rushed straight at him. Qing Shan felt that the situation was not good, so he used an arrow to stab himself in the knee. Finally, things are clearer now, and there's only one opportunity, but it's enough. Activate 2 swallows flying together. Strength power flows out from Than Sun's body. He pulled 2 arrows, shot straight towards the python. The python still dodges easily as before. It opened its wide mouth and rushed towards Qing Shan. At this moment he smiled and said, you lost. The 2 arrows just now circle back again. They fly down and create a terrifying force that cuts off the python's head. Its body was divided into 2 parts and scattered on the ground. At this point, the poison that Qing Shan was bitten by the python earlier had reached a critical level. Using spirit power quickened the spread of the snake poison. It's not going to be good if this continues. Qing Shan, with a tired body, tried to pry out the python gallbladder. He didn't hesitate to put it in his mouth. Ew! The taste of the snake gallbladder is too terrible. Although the taste is poor, it's fortunate that the python's gallbladder is the antidote for the poison. Otherwise, it's going to be a problem. He was a bit confused. He has some doubts. The arrow's trajectory from 2 swallows fly together can change. Since it's like this, the attack becomes unpredictable. However, the time intervals between arrows are too long. It would be nice if I could use this skill consecutively. Would the problem be solved if I combine secure, consecutive shooting, and 2 swallows fly together? Ding dong. The system notifies again. The constructive thinking of host Liu Qing Shan has enabled the development of a new bow skill. New bow skill, chaotic dance. Primary level, shoot 5 arrows consecutively in a short time period, using an unpredictable trajectory to attack enemies. Qing Shan looked at the system board in front of him and exclaimed, "It really did create a new bow skill, and it's a growth-type skill too. Changing ordinary skills into growth-type skills, is this the true value of the War God ability?" Suddenly, there was a loud noise behind him. He quickly hid behind the python's corpse. That loud movement was of a large crowd of monsters moving. Qing Shan looked up at the sky and saw many flying monsters. More and more high-tier monsters are coming. This place is no longer safe, so it looks like I need to move to other locations. Returning to the barracks, the soldier saw Qing Shan returning and ran out to welcome him. "Brother Gu, you're finally back. I thought something happened to you." Qing Shan looked at him and replied, "It's fine now, but we're going to have some trouble soon." "What trouble?" he said with a serious face. "I suspect the demon army is going after the heads of the leaders of the human race. This place is probably going to be a battlefield. The monsters are gathering together. In consideration of both of our capabilities, I suggest we leave this enemy-occupied territory as soon as possible." The other guy couldn't hide his worry and said, "We can rely on the concealment formation to hide a while longer. We don't need to go outside where monsters are everywhere." Qing Shan explained, "High-tier monsters can see through the concealment formation with one glance. Hiding is not a long-term solution. If you want to live, then leave with me." The other guy pointed his finger at Qing Shan and shouted, "No, you definitely got it wrong. If you want to go, then go. I'm not going to leave this place." Qing Shan tried to advise him, "I hope you understand. Once the monsters arrive, it will be too late to regret it." The angry soldier scolded Qing Shan, "Enough. I don't want to listen to you speak this nonsense. I've been bitterly enduring for many days. Backup is about to arrive, and you want me to leave? Your brain has been scared dumb by the monsters. I won't block you if you want to send yourself to death, but don't try to sway me into risking my life with you." Qing Shan sighed, "Haze, since you made your decision, I won't force you." Qing Shan left along the forest. He thought, Ning Yuchan and Gong Sunji's place of death is east of the barracks. I can evade it if I go west. While walking, he discovered that the place he was standing was a bit strange. The ground shook violently. "Is that it?" Qing Shan jumped up on a nearby piece of rock. As soon as he jumped up, the ground where he was standing collapsed into countless large holes. The holes constantly suck soil and rocks down below. Qing Shan uses the chaotic dance skill to pull 5 arrows at the same time. The arrows flew out in all directions, embedding themselves into the ground. Suddenly, something revealed its true form and let out a loud cry, "It hurts." The ground transformed into a gigantic face. It was Tunnel Demon, can resist elemental skills, and has the ability to tunnel into the ground. "How did you know I was here?" Qing Shan stood above, observing, "It really is a tunnel demon. This type of monster is great at killing on a battlefield. It is unexpected that it would appear in this place." He let out a loud laugh. "Haha, you're covered in fresh dirt. This is completely different from your surroundings. Only a blind person wouldn't discover you. You should bring some old dirt from where you came from. That way, no one would be able to discover you." As soon as Tan San's words ended, Countless voices appeared, startling him. Why would there be so many responding voices? Unless it's not one but a whole squad of tunnel demons. This is a pretty rare large setup. Looks like it really is an assassination mission. It's a good thing that their brains don't work well. I don't need to be afraid no matter how many come. With a satisfied expression on his face, Tan Sun spoke up. I won't say much. Now go back and bring some dirt. I'll wait for you here. Okay. You wait for me. After speaking, they all hurriedly left. It was only then that Qing Shan breathed a sigh of relief. Really a bunch of iron simpletons. Suddenly, a voice came from the side. Friend, many thanks for helping us out. Who is it? Startled, Qing Shan drew his arrow and shouted loudly. He was Frontline General, Sacred Sect Supreme Elder, Grand Master of Formations, Kongsun Yi. Qing Shan was surprised. General Kongsun, why are you here? He was extremely puzzled. What is the matter with this? I clearly went the opposite way, so why would I meet him? Kongsun Ji looked at Qing Shan and smiled. You recognize me? Then it would be easy to talk. As he spoke, he pulled out a formation board from his hand. 6 Trigram Concealment Formation, open. After speaking, a spell immediately revealed a large building in front of the two. Qing Shan was taken aback by what was happening before his eyes and thought to himself, as expected of a formation grandmaster, using a formation to hide an entire Taoist temple. Kongsun Ji shouted into the interior, General Ning, you can come out. The tunnel demons have all left. This is? Are you saying? A voice came from a person stepping out from the inside. That person was clad in gleaming armor, with a sword at her hip, truly embodying the aura of a female general. She walked up to Qing Shan and gently asked, the tunnel demon's strength is not ordinary, even though we cannot easily drive them off. How did you make them retreat? He looked at the girl in front and replied, although the tunnel demons are powerful, their minds haven't developed. I fooled them into leaving. The girl with the icy eyes asked, who are you, and how do you know the weakness of those creatures? Qing Shan immediately pulled out his identity card and said, I am Gu Qing Shan from the frontline troops. I often deal with monsters, so I'm a little informed about them. The girl looked at his identity card and said, a person from the frontline troops? At this point, she finally let down her guard and took off her hat. In front of him was a cold beauty. This person is Guerrilla General, Holy Celestial Maiden, Ning Yuchen. That dose makes sense. Kongsun Ji stood to one side, silently contemplating. Ning Yuchen is every male cultivator's dream lover. Little friend Qing Shan, are you going to stare into a trance? At this moment, Qing Shan showed a thoughtful face, not caring about his surroundings, which left Kongsun Ji stunned. Hey, this young guy has good composure, not even taking a single look. This old man has underestimated him. Qing Shan is deep in thought at this moment. I clearly went in opposite directions as them. So why did I meet up with the two of them here? In the records, they did not meet each other, and their places of death were far away from each other. He turned to look at the two people behind him. How did history change? So here we are, wrapping up this part. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell so you won't miss the latest videos. And remember to leave a comment to give me the motivation to create more high-quality content for you. Thanks for tuning in.